Hi everyone, we have prepared latest market updates for June 20th, 2022. Pfizer buys stake in French Valneva. U.S. healthcare giant Pfizer has agreed to invest 90.5 million euros to buy an 8.1% stake in the French vaccine company as the firms announced their partnership in the fight against Lyme disease. Pfizer will buy a stake in Valneva, which is also working on its COVID-19 vaccine, at 9.49 euros per share through a reserve capital increase. Valneva shares rose sharply, rising 14.5% at the start of the session to 9.09 euros. Valneva will use the proceeds from Pfizer's equity investment to support its contribution to its phase 3 drug development program for the treatment of Lyme disease. According to Valneva's CEO, Pfizer's investment in Valneva underscores the quality of their work together over the past 2 years and is a strong recognition of Valneva's expertise in vaccines. Bitcoin continues to visit new bottoms. Bitcoin collapsed to $18,707 on June 19th, according to the cryptocurrency exchange Binance. The value of the largest token fell below $19,000 for the first time since late November 2020. Its price has fallen in value since June 6, 2022, when it traded above $31,000. On Monday, June 13th, Bitcoin fell nearly 12% and broke through another psychological mark of $25,000. The first cryptocurrency pulled other coins with it. Experts attribute the decline of the digital asset first of all to inflation in the United States. The second reason for the collapse of cryptocurrencies, economists call the tightening of monetary policy of central banks in different countries, the U.S. Federal Reserve and the European Central Bank. Analysts point to the third reason for Bitcoin's decline as a result of the collapse of the UST stablecoin, cryptocurrency whose exchange rate is directly tied to a real currency, usually the dollar. U.S. oil reserves fell to a 40-year low. Strategic oil reserves in the U.S. began to decline faster than forecasts, falling to a minimum of the last 40 years. Analysts note that if the decline in reserves does not slow down by October, when the U.S. planned to stop trading, the amount of oil in reserve will reach its lowest level in the last 40 years, 358 million barrels. At that time, they say oil reserves were 621 million barrels in 2021. Now, the U.S. wants to keep global oil prices by selling its reserves, but such a strategy might not last long. If they stop selling, oil prices will go back up. That's not all oil from U.S. reserves suits the producers, analysts say. For example, buyers are choosing more of the highest sulfur crude type that is produced in Russia, Venezuela, and Middle Eastern countries. Those countries account for about 85% of sales. The U.S., on the other hand, has low sulfur crude, which suits a much smaller numbers of buyers. In mid-June, the International Energy Agency website reported that global commercial oil and petroleum product inventories for April 2022 increased by 77 million barrels, but are still below the 5-year average.